So when you're trying to undo old habits with your dog, you have to understand that before you start this process, they've practiced their old behavior a lot. Many dogs have practiced this for months and months, and some even years. So try to imagine the number of times your dog might have repeated the behavior you're trying to change. Let's say you're trying to help him be calm when you're answering the front door. How many times a week does your front doorbell ring and then he reacts the way that he's always reacted? Even if that's twice a week, if he's done that for a year, that's 100 times he has repeated that behavior. So this behavior is very well practiced. It's ingrained, it's instinctual. So you're not going to be able to do a couple of training sessions with him and then say that you've changed his behavior, because you have so much history that goes before you that you have to outweigh. So let's think about changing behavior as a set of scales. On one side of the scales, you're going to have all of the old behaviors. So for that dog there in that example, there would be 100 instances on one side of the scales. Maybe your dog's reactive to other dogs. If he does that once a day on a walk, and he's been doing this for 2 years, you've got basically 600 experiences on that side. 600 times he has rehearsed his reactive behavior in the presence of another dog. So that might sound a little bit overwhelming, but hang around just for a minute, because those experiences are all in the past. Now we're looking at this set of scales. What we need to do is we need to start thinking about balancing the other side. So whatever it is that you're trying to change, the first time you try and work on this behavior with your dog, you'll put a good experience, hopefully, on the good side of the scales. Every time you practice it, you'll put another good experience on that side of the scales. And over time, the scales will start to tip. Now, if your dog's done 600 reactive behaviors in his past, you don't have to put 600 non-reactive experiences on the good side of your scales. That would be madness. But you do have to make sure that you're quite consistent, because these behaviors, as they're quite recent, will outweigh the oldest ones. Also, though, what you're going to be doing with them is you're going to be adding lots of reward. So that bulks up the experience. So you could just train your dog without rewards, without encouragement, without anything positive at all. But that would really be the slow way of doing it. If you added a reward, if you were able to walk your dog past another dog, even at a really great distance, and you were praising him, and you were giving him clicks with his clicker, and then you were offering him treats, not only that, but also the experience would feel good for him just naturally. So that one experience now has been bulked right up with all of that rewarding encouragement from you, rewards, clickers, all of that. So that's not just worth one experience. So don't be too put off if your dog has been rehearsing a behavior for a long time, but also don't expect this to be a 5-minute job, is what I'm saying here. So at the very start of your training, you're going to start putting good experiences on the good side of your scales, and it's going to start to shake a little bit. Now be careful once you start getting into training, because at the very early stages, you are full of enthusiasm and full of excitement. You're well prepared, you've thought this through, you've planned it, and so every experience is going to be going on the good side of that scales. After a week or two, you start to relax a little bit, and you start to be a bit less prepared. You put a bit less thought into it, a little bit less energetic. And you might find that sometimes either you push your luck a little bit, or you're not prepared, or for whatever reason, your dog defaults back to his old behavior. That will put another experience onto the old side of your scales. So what happens at this time is that you do a good one, and then you do a bad one, and then a good one, and then a bad one. And you can see you're not really making a huge amount of progress here, because you're just going forwards and back and forwards and back all the time. So you do really need, while you're in your training stages, to really balance out all of the good experiences so that they really outweigh the old bad ones. You're not going to get this perfect, and sometimes things will happen and it will not go to plan, and that's okay, but allow that to be the exception. Don't let that creep in to your daily routine. If you're looking at an 80-20 split of good ones to bad ones, then you'll find you'll make progress. And in the early stages, that's really how it feels like. You feel like you're going 100 miles an hour and you're doing really good. So once you start to relax, then it starts to feel like the training's not working anymore. It is still working. It's just that you've had a few bad experiences that have crept in, and also you're not as prepared and you're not as on top of it as you were at the start. So that's where you are now. But you're not still in the habit forming stage yet. At this stage, we're just creating a new behavior and we're practicing and practicing and practicing it. Once your scales start to tip, you'll start to feel like that actually your dog is making a lot of really good decisions on their own. Maybe not every time at the start. Sometimes they'll get it right and they'll be really good at it and they'll be really focused. Other times you'll have to put more work into it. This is not the time to ease off. This is the time to continue on with all of your energy and focus that you started with, because this is the tipping point. This is the part in which the new behavior is starting to feel better. Your dog is starting to get it. He's rehearsed it a lot. He knows what to do. He knows what to expect from you. So you don't change what you do, because then his expectations suddenly will be proven wrong. And at this stage now, he's really starting to get with the training plan. So this is where the habit forming stage starts to happen. But a habit does not form in just a day or two. To form a new habit, you need to repeat a behavior over and over and over again. Imagine somebody that's maybe given up smoking or has changed their diet dramatically. They can change their diet, but every day they're really focusing on it. They're really concentrating it. They're really thinking about it. They're really trying to control their thoughts in terms of their cigarettes or their food or whatever it is that they're trying to do. It's not until you've managed to get past a certain amount of time and you're in a routine that actually starts to become a habit and you stop thinking about it. But that doesn't happen in a week or two. Somebody that's changed their diet for good could be doing this for a month or 2 months. Evidence suggests that if you can repeat the same behavior over and over again for 30 days, then you've formed a habit. And I think that might be quite close, but you have to wonder whether you've actually managed to repeat the habit perfectly for that amount of time and what other factors have been involved in that. But if we use 30 days as a benchmark, so you've been doing your training plan for a few weeks, now the scales are starting to shake, they're starting to tip. Now you're just about to start going into the habit forming stage. So at this point, this is the bit where most people think, that's it, I've cracked this training, yay me, and now I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my life with my dog. But actually the habit forming is only just about to start. So you have to continue on for a whole nother month, at least, if that 30 days is right for your dog. A whole nother month you have to continue this on for, before you can really say that you've ticked it off the list. If after that month your dog's doing a perfect job, he's making great decisions all by himself, then you've done your bit, he knows what to do, and all you've got to do is just reward him whenever you remember. But up until that stage, you're on shaky ground. This is the bit where people tend to quit, they start to relax, they're not quite there yet, and everything starts to go south again. So whenever you feel like your dog's getting the idea, you need to put more effort into it. Go back to how you felt at the start of your training plan and get him through that month. And if you're not repeating the behavior very often, then a month won't be enough. If you're doing this every single day and you're practicing and practicing and practicing over and over and over again, a month will be fine. But if you're maybe trying to retrain your dog to be calm at the front door, if you wait for the front doorbell to ring and only practice then, maybe you only practice it once or twice a week. A month is not going to be enough to get you into a new habit. So those are the things to kind of bear in mind when you're trying to form new habits with your dog. Very often we give up a bit too quickly, and that's why we feel like our training has failed. All we need to do is just give a bit more energy and keep going just that little bit longer to form that new habit. Hope that's helped. Take care for now. Bye bye.